In this lesson, we'll talk about navigating the 3D view and also different ways of accessing tools. So let's jump back in here. So in our 3D view, to be able to kind of rotate around our model, and we want to have something in here to be able to see this, so I'm just going to go to Create, and let's just create the basic head here. All right, so to be able to kind of move around, we're going to use the same key combination that we would use in Maya, and that is the Alt key in combination with our mouse buttons, or if you're using a tablet, you maybe have programmed those to your side switch on your grip pin. So in this case, we'll hit Alt and left mouse button to orbit around here. We can middle mouse, again with Alt, to pan around the scene. And then we can use the right mouse button to move in and out. Or also we could use the combination of the left and middle mouse buttons to do the same thing. Okay, so we could come in here and kind of rotate around. If we hit A, kind of frame everything up. And then if we hit F, it'll kind of frame up on where our brush is. So I can frame up on those things, or I can hit A to kind of frame everything up. But if I want to focus down here on the chest, I can come down here and hit F and start working down here. Okay, and then again, just holding down Alt, I can use left and middle mouse button to kind of get the exact view that I want. All right, if you want to change the way that this works, you can go into the Preferences, Windows, and go into the Interaction mode, and right now it's set to Mudbox. You can see you can set it to Maya, you can set it to 3ds Max or Softimage, depending on how you want to actually work. This is the default though. All right, we also have the view cube up here. So again, something familiar to you if you've used other Autodesk applications. We can click on the different views to really quickly see our model from different aspects. We can go home to go kind of a home view. We can also, in our object list, choose to see our model from one of these other cameras. And so we can click on one of the cameras, right click and say look through, and then I'll look through that particular camera. Okay. And you can see I'm in the actual top camera, so I can't really move around. If I go back to the perspective view, then I can use my view cube, and I can still go and look at it from the top, but I'm actually still in the perspective view. All right. Now I can also access things by clicking in our 3D view. So by clicking off of the model, I can get the sort of marking menu where I can turn off the grid if I want to, and I'm just right clicking here. I can change the lighting, so turn on flat lighting. So it gives me a lot of the different display options here. I can also come over to the right and switch views very quickly. So I can go to the top view, or I can go to perspective, and so forth. I could turn on wireframe if I wanted to. Okay, so that's by right-clicking outside of the model. If I right-click on the actual model, I get some different options. So I get the ability to edit the material, to rename the material, to lock or unlock the model, rename it. I can select it or deselect it. I can show all. And then down below that, we have additional options for assigning new materials or existing materials, deleting unused materials, duplicating, and deleting and otherwise working with the object. Okay, so it differs depending on if I'm right-clicking outside of the model or on the actual model itself. Okay, and depending on the type of thing that you're clicking on in our views, if you have a curve and you right-click on it, you have different options. For instance, if you're doing retopology, you'll be able to change the constraint hardness or softness of that. We can also access the hotbox. So outside here, if I click the space bar anywhere in our interface, okay, it doesn't have to be in the 3D view, I get this hotbox, and this will allow me to access different things very quickly, so I don't have to move up to the menus in certain cases. So I can access my brush size here. I can access my strength. And we'll take a look at that once we start sculpting. It'll make more sense. I can access the stencils, stamps, ability here within the center area. I can go ahead and choose different painting tools. So that's over here to the right, or I can come over to the left and access the sculpting tools down here. I can also come in here and, oops, come down. I can change some of those display options that we looked at earlier. So that's basically, if we move up here, that's basically the same thing we had if we just right-clicked We're getting the sort of the same options there. I can also come down here, and you can see here I'm getting the same options as if I had right-clicked on the mesh. So this consolidates it a little bit more. So here's a right-click on the mesh, here's a right-click away from the mesh. We can also access the pose tools, okay, and the transform tools. So really, it's kind of consolidating a lot of these tabs here, or trays, into this hotbox that is easily accessed. And that's, again, accessed via the spacebar. Okay, so you can use that, or you can right-click on the model or off the model to access different tools here in Mudbox. And again, Alt with your mouse buttons will allow you to navigate around the 3D view, and additionally you can use the view cube to move around as well. All right, so now that we've looked at navigating around in our 3D view, we can sort of rotate around the geometry that we have. The next thing that we will look at is the starting points that Mudbox provides. So Mudbox does have some meshes that you can use once if you're just getting started. You don't necessarily want to bring in your own mesh and build that. Maybe you do, but maybe you just want to start playing with the sculpting tools very, very quickly. Mudbox provides a number of starting points that you can use to get going. And we'll take a look at those. We'll also look at kind of hiding, playing with the visibility and the geometry display options, wireframe, and so forth. So we'll take a look at that next.